Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's discuss the news in retardistan today. But before we do, can I yet again remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and join the channel. Anyway, let's get on to the main news of today. And this is the news that Ramaphosa now promises to target new markets in Africa and Asia in response to the US trade tariffs. And obviously, the reason he's doing this is because, well, there's no guarantee that he's actually going to be able to get a deal with the US. Now, some analysts have argued that Pretoria failed to act decisively despite months of warning signals. And this is true. We can all see it. We all knew that the negotiations were going nowhere. And a lot of that was due to the ANC. Now, the ANC's internal chaos, their overcommitment to ideological posturing, and their sluggish diplomacy are all to blame. And I myself have done numerous videos on this. Now, many experts are now warning that it is too late to recover investor confidence and to prevent large-scale job losses. And I covered the job losses or the potential job losses yesterday. So it's all good and fine to Ramaphosa to sit there and basically say, well, we'll just pivot to Africa and Asia. But there's going to be a significant amount of job losses. And to that, I would say, ANC's rarely broken the social contract with South Africa. They really don't care about South Africans. They only care about themselves. And this is the news that the ANC's National Executive Committee was marred. They met at the weekend, I should add, but it was marred with inefficiencies and disorganization, with many attendees complaining that there was no coffee, the venue was cold, there were endless delays, and this led to a mocking phrase that the whole meeting would have gone down better with Coke. And this was after they couldn't get Coca-Cola at the venue. They used some no-name brand. But you see, this is exactly what we're seeing with the ANC. And this entire meeting is synopsis with just how dysfunctional the ANC is. An entire meeting where they complained about no coffee and not actually having proper Coca-Cola. It's all about them being able to consume for themselves and to make their own lives happy. Many individuals can't afford Coke. Many individuals are starving. They have to make do with 370 grants. But the ANC is like, but we didn't have coffee and Coke, so, how dare you? This entire thing was inefficient. I mean, the party is just non-redeemable. How do you have a party lead society that is just this morally bankrupt? In any case, the next news is that a Eastern Cape manufacturer is considering shutting down. And this is after their exports were hit due to the US tariffs. Now, the company, which has been in operation for 35 years, says that it is no longer commercially viable to serve the US market. And as a result, they've lost 750 rands worth of a US contract, which is cancelled. And this is going to put hundreds of jobs at risk, potentially forcing a downsize or a closure at the plant. Now, this plant itself is becoming a poster child for the broader economic impacts of the ANC's failed diplomacy. We're seeing companies that have been in South Africa for the longest time all considering shutting shop because, well, the ANC's let them down. It's destroyed their future, and it's destroyed the future of all of those employed at the company. And yet again, I'm going to ask you, what the hell does the ANC care? Well, nothing. Because you see, at the very same NEC meeting, which descended into chaos, there was also a question of the party's severe financial crisis. Now, as we've discussed, many of the delegates were very angry at the disorganization. They said they were demoralized because their key logistical needs were not met. No Coca-Cola. They said there's no food, there was no accommodation. Travel reimbursements were delayed or denied. But you see, the problem is that as we now have learned from the NEC meeting, the party is deeply in debt. Again. Now, the ANC has been unable to meet its basic obligations to its own leadership structure, and many of the NEC members walked out in protest and accused Loot-Free Harris of failing to respect their time and dignity. And again, there's no money in the party. And one is going to ask, well, why are they getting upset? Well, they're getting upset because they're not getting all their little perks and comforts from the party. Now, the ANC's Treasurer General was grilled over the finances, but offered no real solutions. And What we are seeing is that there is a real decline in the party's internal governance structure, and it's just leading into a chaotic and embarrassing situation for everybody to behold. Now, the entire thing shows that there is a decay of the ANC. It's not just political, but financially the organization is yet again bankrupt and organizationally just dysfunctional. And this has led some individuals to ask, how is the party back in financial distress? And could it be that, the paychecks from key areas are no longer forthcoming? Because that is exactly the way it would appear. And this may lead to a suggestion as to why, in some instances, the ANC is yet again courting favor with Iran. As you know, they've recently had Iran in South Africa attempting to buy or take over key South African infrastructure. So is this yet again a situation where the ANC's own financial ineptitude is leading to the country being sold out to Arab interests, whilst potentially offering no real solutions to South Africans as a whole? In fact, by actually attempting to fix their own internal finances, they're selling the country up shit creek, and as a result, we're having job losses due to the tariffs from Trump. You can let me know what you think about that in the comment section below, but it's telling to see that the ANC is yet again in financial trouble. Now, talking of an individual who's in trouble, you will notice that I did a story last week around Emma Powell, the DA member or the DA MP who resigned due to what she described as the South African Intelligence Service's manipulation of South African foreign policy, which meant that she herself was threatened and intimidated and ultimately felt that she had to leave her position in international relations due to her own safety. Well, the DA has now provided her with private bodyguards, and the fact that she's been provided with private bodyguards has caused an internal uproar in the DA. Now, Powell, who resigned from her role as Shadow Minister of International Relations, raised loads of questions around the internal power plays going on directly in our international relations, and specifically in terms of DIRCO. Now, the reason that this has caused an internal ruckus within the DA itself is because Powell's security protection has been party funded, so it's been funded by the DA itself. And this has led to some accusing the DA of elitism and inconsistency, providing protection only for some MPs who are getting special treatment. Now, those DA MPs who are furious over her special treatment feel that the entire incident exposes deep factional tensions within the DA as it struggles to navigate foreign policy, security, and its public interest. And to all of that, I would say, Emma's actually doing some very good work in exposing the rot of the state. And as you can imagine, when you expose this level of rot in the state generally doesn't tend to look at that kindly. And so providing her with bodyguards is the least the DA can do. But in any case, these are all just my views. Do let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until tomorrow, bye.